me. Just wanted to say that we are, if you're interested in this kind of thing, totally different. How can you follow Dino? What a wonderful, wonderful singer. You simply can't. We're actually planning a spoken word evening. We've had our first official meeting of it tonight. Still very exciting. And yeah, it's really just to kind of reiterate why it's an open stage rather than just an open mic where it's normally just musicians getting up and performing. Is that really it's an opportunity. Wednesdays are always that chance for anyone to get up and speak, you know, anything from their heart really. And the 5th of December, it's a Thursday, so a little bit different, but it will be basically just full-on spoken word all evening, downstairs, and then we have a really exciting headline act. We actually have two, potentially. Gramsci, who performed at Platform a few years ago, a guy called Ed, fantastic freestyle MC who does great stuff, and Attila the Stockbroker, potentially. So we might actually have two headline acts upstairs, but there will be a whole evening of spoken word on the 5th of December. So please, if this tickles your fancy, what we're about to get up and do now, there's 3 performers tonight, that these will all be performing on the night, so if you fancy coming along and supporting, we'd hugely appreciate it. So this is just an insight into what spoken word is, or could be. This is called Freak or Unique, Who Are We, and the Problems with Writing Poetry. I hope to be unique, a geek spending too much time thinking about a rhyme or line that makes me sound clever, trying to avoid looking vain when I stand to deliver a sliver of the madness inside my brain. Lost in a familiar daydream, preoccupied with fears of repeating a theme, avoiding talking about the deficit or Brexit, the expanding climate crisis, or ISIS. When really, I could just Google what rhymes with. That's a frugal use of my time, rather than wine and dine a word till it decides to tease me once more and ignore my plea for its rhyming mon ami. The human condition to strive for inhibition when faced with the question, who are we? To try and see a path that's untrod, just a sodding great cliche stands in my way. Oh drat, some other twat said that rhyme loads of times. You're just treading the same route, tooting your own horn with a forlorn look upon your head. I'd like to think me freaky too. A shoe-in for the bonkers brigade. Maybe it'll get me laid if I open up and stretch my lyrical tirade. Upon the masses, lasses lining up to ask for my number, unaware of the beast at slumber. The monster hidden, hibernating, shut up. Hibernating under the moment. Like a rodent, it shows its true colours. Marius. The sheer wonders of insecurity now pee all over my thoughts of looking vaguely sophisticated. Evaporated are my hopes. God, it's shameful to agree, but even the popes had more luck at coitus and chance of a quickie. So buck the trend and fend off the beast by telling it to feast on grounds more fertile, while concentrating on something other than your immature style and virile bile. By publishers, my autobiography would be rejected, filled with strife. Well, that's just the story of my life. Try telling the truth, but I don't know any words that rhyme with truth. Coarse truth. It's close, but a dose of the Aussie lingo will only make you look like a dingo. Well, how about honesty, a key to how you feel about being thoroughly average? A formal introduction to the bodily function of acceptance and realisation. We're a nation intent on the notion that we should all strive to be unique, seeking freaky, uniquey, linky, winky things. Oh well, not this time. At least I made the title rhyme. See, a far cleverer face than mine once said, if you can't speak your mind, you're in the wrong place. If you can't be kind, you're in the wrong space. If you can't be heard, you're in the wrong position. If you're unhappy, you're not making the right decisions. If you're stuck, you need to move, so move. Easily said, and with a nice groove, so I move. Change my angle of thought, wangle a self-talk ritual that becomes habitual. Believe I'm unique, even if I'm not, and act like the freak, content with my lot. So whenever I feel average, I just Google a word that rhymes with average and remember that we are just doing what we can just to be, so don't worry and have a sip on your beverage. Happy. Thank you. So next up we have the wonderful Maya Jambo. So this is spoken word, and if you enjoyed it, come to the 5th of December night. We will happily accept you as always.
How's it going, Prentice? You right?
What's up? Yeah.
I'm good, I'm good. We were trying to stay dry, you know, from the rain and the turn of the seasons and all that. I appreciate the murmur of the most British family, like, yeah, you know, try and stay dry. Right, so the first one is just called When I Look in the Mirror. When I look in the mirror, I see hope, I see fear, I see joy and anger and love. When I look in the mirror, I see my father's tired eyes, but the smiles behind them. But I peer into that mirror and I see my mum's playful grin cover up her angsty frown of the worry over all of her 7 children, what she calls her brood. They both say, hang on to those dreams and stand tall, because we were all born sufferers in this life. Hold your head high, because the mirror reflects the sun, the moon, and the dying starlights that rises over the street so barren but still full of life. In that mirror to the universe, since I've been alive, watching the evening colours from cars that drive by before my eyes reflect back to a time being a kid again, back in 2002. I can see and taste the following: smiles and cries, unfairness and small victories, party and bullshit, flesh and foolishness, ignorance and integrity. Our hearts belong to you, mine and each other, because we are all multiple reflections of ourselves, roaming and living every day and just wanting to be shone towards each other and what happens upon us, wanted or unwanted. Because always remember that I am with you. We are all intangent, a warm sun trap, a cool shadow, a murmur between a breath. Wisdom is our inheritance that has not yet been given. Understanding is what I am living through. Culture and freedom pushing the blood around my circulatory system. But the universe is singing a different tune for all of us. The eyes only see a river of time, and lips tasting innocence and experience a bittersweet taste. Food. I see my father's tired eyes with smiles behind them. I see my mum's playful grin cover up her angsty frown, worrying about her brood of 7. But when I look in the mirror, I see hope, I see fear, I see joy. But hang on to your dreams and stand tall, because we're all born sufferers. Thank you. Right, so it's called The Music I Love. The music I loved at the time, and I've never lived anything as much as I did then and still love now. The first time I heard the sounds of dungeon gangster rap and sounds of the Wu-Tang Clan, Mobb Deep, De La Soul, Naughty by Nature, Kool and the Gang, and Public Enemy, reminding me to protect my neck, and after laughter comes tears that still run down my face, and coming after my first baptism. And living into that styles of jungle drum bass sounds and those names of them types of Stevie Hyper D, Man P. Swift, Brocky, Dillinger, and Nicky Black Market. I can still hear the whistles and horns and echoes of the waves, and the smiles and cries calling for more remixes and more fire through corroded cassette tape recordings from 2000, 1995 collections. But the music I loved at the time, I've never lived anything as much as I did then. Tapping into African rhythms and Latin kicks, and these forms that are not lost, but just need to be reintroduced and rediscovered. Names of Fela Kuti, William Adebayo, the Kimmer sisters, and these names have been with me right there in front of you and I the whole time, waiting to say hello and show you the macabre mystery of reggae. Bob Marley, Smiley Culture, Gregory Isaacs, Burning Spear, and Lee Scratch Perry. These transformations that turn you into the Caribbean dub reggae ska soca spells into the old dance that take you away, shaking you to your core. I beg you, dancing violently to that steel pulse, flinging your hands into the air, reaching into that bass drop, slipping out of reach that remains eternal, and hearing that sassy voice from the MC crying, better luck next time, rude boy, until we meet again. But the music I loved at the time, I've never lived anything as much as I did then. Hardcore punk, for example, that lightning bolt that struck multiple times, hearing bands like Bad Brains, Fishbones, Black Flag, Death, Dropkick Murphys. I embraced the beautiful mosh pits of apocalypse on a scale, but that sublime fellowship when a person falls down in the mosh pit, and everyone jumps around, you get knocked on your ass, but picks you back up off the ground. That's called community. Surrounded by people who are more pissed off, even more than you or I, but who leave their bullshit at the door and lay it all over the dance floor, faces all screwed up, sore lips, broken collarbones, because I bled with you and the love was there, thrashing as if my life depended on it, watching the steam flow of the huddled masses, walking out the gig venue, pogoing into the cool night air. But that music I loved at the time, of which I've never lived as much as I did then. But listen, I'm glad that I did it with you. The smiles and the cries, the bullshit and the beauty, the love and the hate. Give me a ticket and I'll be there when you call, mate. But whenever and whatever endeavour, because I know that I'll be with you truly forever. Thank you very much. Goodbye, Jumbo. Good night.
Okay, we're going to extend into some more spoken word with someone who used to serve me drinks here. After me, Taz! She's also a highly trained physiotherapist person too.
Give me a couple of months. Yeah, I've been away for a bit. I've been back in Bristol. And Youre. I've written some new stuff, I have. So here we go. For richer, for poorer, in sickness and in health. Although we never took those vows, I ploughed my soul into supporting you through that spectrum of experiences. Whether it was the same old story with you or something new. Whether I borrowed my energy from next week, and even if I was feeling blue. Although we never swapped rings, I played the part of the doting partner as if we'd been together for an eternity. I helped you wash your dad as he teetered on the edge of existence. I sacrificed sections of my life that will only exist as what-ifs now. Long trains, late nights, missed lectures, missed opportunities, sacrifices for surprises. Limp embrace, unsurprised face, no trace of gratitude, this cold shoulder, no longer do I recognise the triangle of your arm I used to tangle up in to close my eyes at night. Nothing was ever too much, until you decided that you'd had enough. A decision that I'm still angry about, but grateful for, in equal measure. I never would have hesitated in handing over all my strength, all my empathy to you. For as long as it took you to restore like the perfect love story turned hostage situation, watching over the passing months as the passion waned from my soul and the energy drained from inside my bones, so thank you for doing what I couldn't. For releasing the shackles that bound my mind to a futile loop of limbo. Never again will I pour so much as a drop of myself away, only to drown in housing someone else's pain. Thank you for the opportunity to build a new vessel, an ark, to rescue my heart and lungs and spirit and every other beast inside me, because it's all worth saving. And there is room for two. Maybe not tomorrow or the season after this one, but one by one the days have got easier. As I have learned to guide these new sails toward unfamiliar territory, and two by two, the months begin to merge until I forget your face in the waves of adventure, and the only pain I remember is in my cheeks from the weeks I have spent smiling. Thank you. For showing me that I can fight for... It's not over yet, mate. Thank you for showing me that I can fight for what I need in life. Because nobody else is going to pledge to enter that battle and stay to see who claims victory. Thank you for wiping away the monotony so I can breathe creativity into the space it settled on. Thank you for noticing that my walls were crumbling, and that you did not have the tools to repair my bricks and mortar, but if you'd have fought harder, maybe my new view from up here wouldn't be anywhere near as breathtaking. Thank you.
I'm sorry, I was drunk.
I'm going to do another one. You're going to be quiet.
Oh, we came if not.
Alright. Here's another one. When you're the only thing residing in your head, it gets lonely. Up there, in the dark. When the nights draw in and steal the daylight from your skin, bed becomes a refuge you find hard to refuse, comforting blurred line between nighttime and the waking nightmares of memories. It gets lonely in there, in the dark. Pushed out to the periphery, spaces fade and the lives they lead become a mystery. Your invite to home, sweet home life got lost in the post too easily, or so you want to believe. It gets lonely out here, in the dark. Huddled in the corner, white knuckles crushed a hovering pen, mind rushing with 1,000 thoughts that don't pause long enough to be processed. Frantic, running from the fear of failure, and still it gets cold over there in the dark. The pitter-patter of destructive chatter takes a stroll through the corridors of my mind. It finds the weakest doors and kicks them open. Soon every thought is hopeless. And through those hallways, it is lonely along there in the dark. It takes a stranger to indicate your state of tolerating more hurt and unkindness in one go than all the praise and compliments you've ever been shown. And then when they tell you nice things, you grip your skin with white fingertips, no idea what to do with it. So you sit there, wondering why you feel alone in here, in the dark. You run a bubble bath when the troubles become too hard to bear. They break out the sides of the fortress you built, so you hide in the bath with your hands at the hilt of the only weapon you have left today. The warm caress of water, like hands. But these hands will leave only when asked to. A silky cocoon from which a beautiful metamorphosis will emerge. But until then, they will hold you and dissolve the salt of your tears before you can whisper, "It's our secret." Will you keep it? And there is no reply. And you are still alone, but you feel safe in there, in the dark.
Dark, no dark, no dark.
Best feedback.
This one's about the sunrise.
Fuck Shakespeare! Keep it in the fucking sunlight. Don't keep it in the sunlight.
So like this guy said, I'm going to lift the mood. I am going to lift the mood. Give me 1 second and then I'll lift the mood.
I'll give you 3.
Okay. So today is the 16th of October, which would have been my grandma's 86th birthday. I've been trying to write something about her for a long time, and knowing that it was her birthday that fell on a Wednesday, which is today, open mic, yeah, I wanted to try and finish something. So this is a bit of a work in progress, and I'm going to see how it goes, and I'll try not to cry. So, yeah, this is for my grandma. We used to play aeroplanes in the pea fields. That game where one of you lies down, bare feet greet the sky, belly balanced on those outstretched toes, and then you fly. Yes, guys, we were doing acro yoga before it was cool, my gran and I. With summer breeze caressing our faces, carrying lilting giggles across the generations. She taught me to wear my weaknesses as war paint, to find lessons in the parts of life you don't like, such as maths class and heartache. A child of war-torn times, of the make-do and mend generation, Keeping simple comforts was her recommendation for happiness. As a child, she felt blessed to wake each day to count the same number of faces that she had kissed goodnight, despite the airstrikes that wiped out most of the city. I'll never know what it's like to live the early parts of life across 3 continents and through 1 world war. To take care of Jewish friends' prized possessions, not knowing where it was they were going. To grow up and not speak your mother's mother tongue for fear that the cloak would come undone, for fear of being on the wrong side of enemy territory. This was inherently difficult, as all the fair-skinned kids at school would point that out. It was all these experiences that shaped such a wise and gifted woman and the legacy she bestowed upon me. But there are memories that were blown out like a birthday candle when she closed her eyes for the last time. No one will ever know the wish she made for them. I wish I'd asked to hear more stories. Contrary to what you told me too late, I am interested. Age 9, you would see Kyle in the street with the wrong arm as a form of rebellion, naively claiming you didn't know any better. And into every letter of my name, I can feel this rebellious streak against injustice is woven. Every open map reminds me of the time I would spend staring at the places you had lived, tracing with a single finger over all the journeys you had made to mean that I got to be here today. When I was small, we would go walking for hours. I'd take 3 steps to every one of hers. We'd forage for berries and hedgerows and find horses to stroke and feed grass to. She taught me to savour the taste of nature, golden plums from the garden and ruby cherries from the tree. She showed me to care for others with germaline. On every scrape to the elbow or knee, applied as carefully as the autumn breeze lifts the last golden leaf from the tree. I have never met such a curious woman. And it must be contagious or able to skip generations, because I'm not sure you can learn to think like that. But maybe I did. She gracefully concealed dismay that I did not follow her faith, only it was her words that I followed religiously. She was always thirsty to know more. If I had homework, she'd ask me to read it out loud or recite a random chapter from my biology A-level textbook. And then we'd talk about how fascinating it was the way that kidneys worked. All those minuscule pieces that have to work in perfect harmony. And we talked about the dinosaurs. And she saw the awe in my eyes that something so giant had walked on Earth an incomprehensible number of years before. And it was at this moment she knew that although I did not share her worldview, I always had faith. So she replied that the dinosaurs were part of God's grand design, and we silently talked up a drawer. She also appreciated physics, in as much as time moves on and we move with it. She tried to keep up with technology. She had laptop classes in the library and a mobile phone that she kept in a box, switched off. She taught me to navigate life with a second-hand moral compass and a dog-eared map. Whenever my life lacked cuddles, she made up for that. She loved to listen to me read. And in a world where I felt that no one was listening, and only I found my silent screams deafening, this meant everything. You taught me how important it is to give to those less fortunate than you. Out with my old toys before in with the new. I still use your sewing needles, and I have come to realise that a stitch in time saves my mind from unravelling, so if my clothes have holes in, I still mend and make do. And through the tough times, I still have some marbles to cling to. For all that and so much more, I thank you.
Taz!